It's time for our weekly feature, Going Green, and we're looking at the issue of what's perceived to be dirty energy, and that's coal energy. Can it be reformed by technologies and anti-pollution efforts that could make it cleaner? South Africa, along with the world, is moving away from coal energy production due to the pollution it could create, but only slowly. Now, according to GE Power, 40% of the world's power comes from coal. That's expected to decrease to 30% over the next decade. A couple of months ago, the South African government released the Integrated Resource Plan, which is our energy mix for the next 20 years. The IRP until 2030 sees an energy mix including 46% coal, 16% gas and 15% wind. So we're still quite heavily reliant on coal. Well, the US Multinational GE Power is an advocate of cleaner coal. It's involved in various coal projects here in South Africa. To discuss, we're joined by the Regional Executive of GE Steam Power in Sub-Saharan Africa, George Njenga. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Njenga. So recently stats came out about the air quality dire in Mpumalanga. Can we say anything good about coal power?
Francis, thank you for having me. Good evening to your viewers. Yeah, actually the whole idea of a clean coal is something that has been evolving over the last 20 years, moving away from high local pollution with the sulfur oxides, dust as well as nitrogen oxides, and more recently a huge focus on CO2 emissions. Technology today allows you to run much more efficient power plants using coal than what you would call the global average. And that's why GE is a big advocate of countries that have coal as a natural resource, tapping this natural resource for energy production in a responsible way. You ask about Mpumalanga.
Is this really cleaner coal power, or is it just slightly less dirty? You know, people perceive this as dirty energy.
Let's unpack the concept of cleaner, right? So the first thing you think about coal is in terms of its local pollution capability. So, and again, talking about dust, talking about SOx and NOx as what you call local pollutants. Today, technology allows you to eliminate these up to 99%, right? As far as CO2 is concerned, this is usually about how efficient a coal power plant runs. So most of the power plants that are employed, say in South Africa, that are more than 30 years old, are what you call subcritical technology. They use more coal for the same quantity of energy generated. If you look at Medupi and Kusile, which are the latest under construction, they're using much higher efficient technology. But that's not the highest efficient technology in the world today. There's much more advancement in coal usage. So today you can actually go towards 47% in terms of efficient coal power plants. Countries like South Africa have to look at balancing a number of things. One of them is energy security, which is a function of what's your energy mix like. I think the IRP, and you refer to the IRP, articulates a situation where on the South African grid you have not just coal, but you have renewables, you have gas, and you have energy storage. This is the direction most countries are going towards. But at the same time, the economic development objectives and the environmental sustainability objectives. So those three things compete, but ultimately we all share the same environment. I think proponents of coal power plants are really countries such as South Africa that are heavily endowed with this as a natural resource.
Well, you would be, we could say you are heavily invested here because GE Power is so involved in coal energy. So are you not defending coal power where maybe we should? We should let it die a slow, natural death. It's going to take longer than expected, but it seems to be everyone's veering in that direction.
So let me make it clear. GE plays as a technology company across the entire value chain from a technology standpoint. So we are in wind energy, we are in solar energy, we're in gas, and we're in coal. So we don't take a position because of any specific commercial interest. We talk about this and benchmark across what are countries such as South Africa who are looking at creating jobs, reviving their economies, attracting investment. What are they looking at? They're looking at stable, reliable, affordable, accessible power.
So what could this cleaner technologies do? Say for Mpumalanga, you were going to mention there.
So Mpumalanga is a good reference, and that's where you find the Kusile power plant. And the Kusile power plant, as I mentioned, is using a supercritical technology, which means more efficient than the average power plant in Mpumalanga. So already directionally, the country is going towards embracing more efficient technology. It's also employing the first flue gas desulfurization. And to just unpack that big word,
how much cleaner will the air be? Make it simple.
It's going to be a big step change from where it is currently. But there is more. In Mpumalanga, you find mountains of discard coal, from coal beneficiation from past years and decades. And one of the opportunities that there is in Mpumalanga is to take these discard coals and actually dispose them through what we call CFB boiler technology and convert it into energy. Low-cost energy for South Africa using an otherwise hazardous material that today lies in mountains unprotected. So there are many things you could do in Mpumalanga. One of them is really deal effectively with discard coal. And the other one is, as we said in different forums, as the technology comes to play, the existing coal power plants that ESCOM has and the country has can be retrofitted and upgraded, embracing higher efficiency. This is one of the most effective way of dealing with the emissions in the area. At the meantime, I think we still have a grid that is accommodating other sources of energy. Ultimately, if you think about it, took almost 50 years to build the current energy infrastructure in South Africa. You cannot undo it overnight. So it's going to be a process that embraces technology to improve on the emissions of the current coal power plants as you allow more of the renewables and gas and so on over time.
So if we're fighting climate change, surely renewables are the future. What is GE Power doing to upskill workers? We know the truck drivers, the coal truck drivers are saying we're going to lose jobs. What are you doing to upskill your current workers to prepare for that future?
So I think the idea of upskilling workers is a collective responsibility in every economy. As GE, what we are focusing on right now is upskilling workers to basically operate more efficient coal power plants, because that's what the country has. And like the minister said recently during the investment forum, this is not an area that you can switch off overnight and say, now we switch off to renewables. By the way, the renewables power in South Africa today depends on the coal baseload to be able to get into the grid. Because it does not shine all the time, so your solar does not work all the time. It does not blow all the time, so the wind plants are not available all the time. So that's why we talk about an energy mix, where you have a baseload, stable baseload, like coal that South Africa is well endowed with, accommodating or allowing you to accommodate renewables, but at the same time, making the existing fleet of coal power plants more efficient. That's the responsible way of dealing with it. The other piece really is around how do you build investor confidence? We had an IRP in 2014 that provided for 2,500 megawatts of coal power plants. And indeed, a lot of investors came on the back of that, and again on the back of the success of the renewables IRP that has been working since 2010. And put our investment capital in terms of building supply chains, the permitting process in readiness that there will be more coal plants. Our advocacy as GE from a technology standpoint is newer plants require to be cleaner. I think the idea of protecting the environment is a shared goal.
So you're saying even though we're fighting climate change, there's a place for coal? Is that indefinite? How long does that last for when you project ahead?
I don't think I have a crystal ball on this one. But as you can imagine, technology has been evolving and continues to evolve. Today, a lot of work is being done in the area of what is called carbon capture and storage. And when carbon capture and storage would entail really separating the CO2 out of these plants and be able to sequester it, meaning the coal power plants will be very low CO2, footprint. So in that environment, there will be no issue about coal. So today you look at migrating from subcritical technology to ultra supercritical technology. What we are advocating for, that new plants must really embrace that, because that's a technology that is already commercialized and proven. But as the days go, research continues. Who knows? CCS is maybe in the next 10 years, CCS will be happening. So when you think about the time horizon of the current IRP, there will be opportunity that it coincides with more advancement in cleaning up of CO2 from coal power plants, in which case there will be no fight on CO2.
All right, so an interesting view. Maybe we don't have to vilify coal completely, although South Africa, like many other countries, trying to include more and more of those greener energies. That was the regional executive of GE Steam Power in Sub-Saharan Africa, George Njenga.
Thank you.